Selma and Ferguson, Missouri. So what happened 50 years ago today? Does anybody remember? Not slavery. But kind of the KKK. But there was a march on the Selma, okay, in Selma, Alabama, the Civil Rights Movement. Okay, it started with that. So class question is this. This is important. We'll get to this. What is the KKK? Just describe it. Go ahead.
It's like people who wear white clothes and don't like that.
Okay, good.
So it's
What?
well, it's people who wear professions to run around with them.
Okay. Is that all right? So, okay. When did it start? Longer than that. It started right after the Civil War. So over 100 years ago. And what did the Civil War do? It freed slaves, right? Freed African Americans. So the point of the Ku Klux Klan was these white people who still wanted to scare African Americans, especially in the South, to make them fear for voicing their opinions and participating in government. And we're going to get to the Ku Klux Klan, why that is important, and how that relates to Selma, Alabama. Okay? It's all going to tie in together. So what I want you to do now is to get out your Chromebooks, go to Google Classroom. Everybody should have their Chromebooks out. So we are going to answer these questions as a class after you do the reading. So just to preview them. We're going to talk about the similarities and differences between Selma and Ferguson. We're going to talk about, do you think Congress should change the name of the bridge? And do you think the name of the bridge is important? And should the name be changed? Okay? We're going to talk about that. And if you want it to be changed, what can you do about it? We'll get to that. So, if you look at this, there's some information. The reason why we're talking about this is when I was watching 60 Minutes last night, which I'm sure a lot of you don't, there was a very interesting video about Selma, the movie, and the bridge, the name of the bridge. And I thought it was really interesting to see, okay, how it connects to Ferguson and the name of the bridge, and how important that is. So if you want to look at that on your own later, there's a link right there. I imagine you can turn it over into grade. Okay? So we are going to read the short version of the article, the CNN article. It says short on it, okay? And I'll read it to you guys out loud. So just follow along. From Selma to Ferguson and back, has anything changed? 50 years ago, a brutally squashed civil rights march in Selma led to the landmark Voting Rights Act. Now the Alabama city is again in the spotlight with the new movie Selma. The leaders of this struggling city respect its brave past but quarrel over how to move forward. Selma, Alabama. There are places where the ghosts of the past linger. One of them is Selma, where the Edmund Pettus Bridge carries Highway 80 over the murky Alabama River. Some residents wish the city had torn down the bridge and built a new one after the brutality that took place on 5 decades ago. But the 75-year-old structure still stands, and anyone who knows its history is forced to ponder in its crossing. The ghosts are here on this winter day as Faye Rose Tour picks up her sign and strains to get out of her chance. Her voice hoarse in the previous protest. She often hurls her wrath at power brokers, and today, William Riley, the city's police chief, is one of her targets. She has chosen the bridge precisely because of what it symbolizes. Hands up, don't shoot, I can't breathe, she yelled with about 15 others, referring to Michael Brown's death in Ferguson, Missouri, and Eric Garner's in New York. The unarmed black men were killed by white police officers. The death sparked a nationwide protest. But added to, of course, is this. Show Through a longtime activist, draws strength from the civil rights struggle that reached crescendo at this bridge. These days, she feels the movement coming to life, reinvigorating by Ferguson. Tourist salt and pepper braids are tied back. She wears a t-shirt advertising Save Ourselves, SOS, movement. For justice and democracy over a red, long-sleeve shirt and pants. Her crimson lipstick matches her shirt perfectly. She lies in the middle of the bridge road, dying, mimicking others that recently unfolded across the nation. On March 7, 1965, a protest on this bridge, named after a Confederate general and Ku Klux Grand Wizard, exposed America at its worst. White troops beat back 60 civil rights marchers on their way to the state capitol in Montgomery. The protesters demanded was the removal of impotence that kept black people from the right to vote. That march, which became known as Bloody Sunday, moved the nation to pass the landmark Voting Rights Act of 1965. The new movie Selma portrays that day in vivid detail. Some like Burr believe Ferguson has the potential to become the Bloody Sunday of its time. Protesters in Missouri made references to Selma, and now the nationwide release of the movie, January 9th, also has thrust the town back into the national spotlight. But how far has Selma come since Bloody Sunday? Tourists see it as a place that requires help as much as it ever did. A city long forgotten by a nation that changed each other. Others, including many immense ranks of the city's leadership, want to honor the past but caution against going on. So it has that Selma's history hangs heavy over its people, who quarrel over the present and how to move forward. On this day, tourists die in clogs traveling on the bridge. City employee James Vindison, out on lunch break, phones the police. Is this a genuine protest or a staged media event? He asked, skeptical that the year-old Selma police shooting is worthy of protest. Tour's husband, ninth-term Senator Hank Sanders, ambles over to the police car to Apollo, using his status to stave off trouble. Officer, he said, I understand this is just 4 minutes. The officer's back tour gets up and leads about a dozen others down the bridge toward the next step. Manifestations of a struggle. Police department sits only a few blocks from the bridge in downtown Selma. There's a sprinkle of drugstores, banks, offices, and shops. Many buildings look worried from years of neglect, and others offer nothing but darkness and delusion. Selma is a nice place to live, says the banner on the lamppost. Inside Selma's original city hall, helmets, billy clubs, and bullhorns filled glass display cases along the first floor hallway. Also featured a gas mask and a towel cloth. Riley, the police chief, found these items in the basement and thought she should be dusted off and delivered at police headquarters. They're pieces of history that serve as reminders, he says, of where someone once was. Riley is not in his office due to foolish camp outside. Even if he were, his accusations of police brutality in Selma was not based. Tour has taken the streets to protest the killing of Nisika Shah, 74. Police say they shot and killed him in December 2013 after he rushed a police officer while wielding a hatchet. Video of the incident captured an officer's lapel camera provided to prove the shooting was justified. Officials said the grand jury heard the case, saw the footage, and decided in June not to issue an indictment. Ferguson, Tour said, awakened her to what she considers a lack of transparency in the Shaw case. She and the family members demanded the release of the video. It was finally shown to the family and to see them a few weeks ago, and it was recently released to the public. The family members raised more questions than answers. Riley had no illusion about the tension between the police and black men. There's a problem that needs to be looked at, he says. What's going on in America, and a lot of people are upset. His voice rises as he shares detailed lessons about talks he's given his own son. It's a conversation repeated in many black households. If the police stop you, don't fidget, don't move your arms around, look at yourself. You're big. 6'5", 210 pounds. I do not want and then saying their actions made them afraid of you. I'd rather deal with a ticket or deal with arrest than deal with a coin. But to put Selma's shooting in context of Brown and Ferguson and Bonner's hopeful death in New York, he says is wrong and disingenuous. We're no Ferguson, Goddard says, and saying otherwise not only hurts the message, but also insults Brown's family. When the Puget Shah was unarmed with black soldier officers who shot, the majority of Selma residents, 80% are black, much like Ferguson, the two cities could not differ more when it comes to leadership. Riley is black as Selma's mayor, district attorney, school superintendent, and the majority of the city council. These leaders have the city taken seats once denied by African Americans during slavery, then under Jim Crow. They are perhaps the greatest manifestation of the struggle that took place in this city. So it may seem odd to see a longtime civil rights lawyer and activist like George focus their energy against the black establishment. But this is the new Selma, she says. Yes, there are black faces, but what prevails, she says, is the same white mentality of black lives don't matter. Selma is the birthplace of democracy, for this to happen. Now, you guys remember they're talking about what's a bridge named after? George, what's his name? Edmund what? Edmund Pettus. Okay? Edmund Pettus. I know that article is long, but Edmund Pettus was leader of the what? Ku Klux Klan. So right after the Civil War, he became the leader of the whole Ku Klux Klan of Alabama. And the job of the Ku Klux Klan was to do what? Raise your hand. Go ahead. Not necessarily kill them, but scare them where they felt like they're second-class citizens. So they never felt safe to vote, to speak their opinion, okay? And especially stand up for their rights against white people in the South. So this leader of this group has a bridge named after him. Okay? Also, he was a senator, a person who was elected to represent the state of Alabama. On that same bridge, 50 years ago, there was a civil rights march. Okay? That African Americans were marching to the capital of Alabama to stand up for their rights, and when they got to that bridge, they were beaten, gassed, and pushed back. And you guys should learn more and more about this. So what we're going to talk about is the first one. We're going to talk about what are the similarities between Selma and Ferguson. Go ahead. Okay. What's some other ones? So the main one is police brutality, right? Okay. What are some differences that the article pointed out? Who controls the city of Ferguson? Mostly what color people? White. Who controls the city of Selma? Remember it was mostly African Americans, right? Black people. So is that a difference? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So have both places been a place where people stand up for civil rights and protest? Is that a similarity? Okay. Good. So I want you to also think about this. We're going to read this as a class. So this is just a short biography of Edward or Edmund Pettus, the person that bridge is named after. So if you look at, bless you, look at that whole thing, does it say anything about him being a member of the Ku Klux Klan? No. It talks about him being in the Civil War, being a general, talks about him being a senator, and where he's from. It's all the good stuff. So, if you read this, and also saw that there's a bridge named after him, do you think he's a pretty good guy? If you didn't know anything about the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, you can, right? So going back to this question, why do you think Congress, the people that put that webpage on, did not include Edmund connection to the Ku Klux Klan? Go ahead. Go ahead.
People with no knowledge are basically they think he was a good person and they think he's wise and
Do you think that it's a well-known fact that he was the leader of the Ku Klux Klan? If you're from Alabama, do you think when you cross that bridge, people know that?
yeah.
Do you think you could keep that quiet? No. If I can find that out pretty fast, and it's on TV, do you think people in that city know that? So why do they still have that person's name on the bridge? Especially a bridge that signifies so much about civil rights movement, about keeping people, African American, as second-class citizens. So 50 years ago, when they beat African Americans so peacefully, marching across that bridge, and there were some white people and other people with them, that standing up for blacks' rights, why would they keep that bridge the same name? Do you think it mattered?
They don't care.
You don't.
It still is.
Keep on going. What are you saying, Faith? You don't think people in Selma, but in the South, care about that?
I think the people that keep care, that's why most of them want it. But the thing is that mostly the government people outside of the city are
Do you think most of the people want it changed? If most people want it changed in America, do you think it would happen?
yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you think a lot of people care, like Faith was saying, or just want it to stay the same? What could you assume? That a person who was the leader of the Ku Klux Klan, which everybody, especially if you study the history, was a it was basically the terrorism of 100 years ago. They terrorized people, they killed people, they hung people, okay? Especially at night. They wore costumes to conceal their identity. All these things. And he was the leader of that group. So why is his name still on the bridge?
I think that maybe like people like to implore the KKK and to embrace it. So that's why they really don't want it changed.
Do you think in the South, people still treat people equally? Do you think in the United States, people still treat people equally?
Depends on
Depends on where you are. So, let's go to this question. Do you think the name of that bridge is important? Why or why not? No, Faith? Why don't you think it's important? Try it. Okay. Does anybody want to say who cares about the name of the bridge? It's not a big deal, we should forget about it. What do you think, Local? Yeah. Right. Anybody agree with that? Just the name? Go ahead.
I think like physically the name doesn't really mean anything, but emotionally and mentally it means a lot to some people. So I think that's possibly more super emotionally significant.
Let's say, put yourself in the place of someone who lives there. You're an African American or somebody of a minority in the South, and you see that bridge every day, they go into work, and you know who it's named after. A person who is the leader of the KKK. Every day you drive by that name. Do you think it mattered to you?
Yeah.
Do you think, what kind of message is it sending to people who drive by that bridge every day? What's okay?
The use my voice and
Because if you name something after somebody, is that a hero? Like somebody you look up to?
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Bless you. So, do you think that name should be changed? What kind of message? We'll go back to that. What kind of message is that sending? How so? It's like the hero of the bridge is a person who was in charge of violently suppressing other people's rights. Taking away their right to vote, the right to vote their express their opinion. Go ahead. You as the leader. This is called the Grand Wizard. Uh-huh. Okay. So, if you think, how many people think the name should be changed? You got to pick one. Because if your hand's not up, then I'm gonna ask you why not. All of a sudden, okay? So Moses, why not? Okay. So the bridge is telling people that maybe the Ku Klux Klan wasn't a good thing, and remember, it wasn't a good thing. Hannah, what do you think? Why did you raise your hand? Yes. Should we remember good and bad things, or just good things? Okay. Good. Faith. Good. Okay. Why? You have a lot of good things. Keep on going, Faith. We can come back to it. So if they changed the name of the bridge, what kind of message would that send to people? Kirby. Innocent, what do you think? No, I don't know is not an answer. You gotta think whether it's a good or bad thing, change the name and have a reason. Stephanie. Faith. Like they're not listening to people, right? They're opinions. You got a great point. Go ahead. So it's not going to change it. So when you guys go around school, other symbols around school, are we trying to, as a school, trying to send messages to you guys? Like the Whittier way, right? Do you think that works at times? Sometimes? Okay, but is it better than saying things like, we don't care about you, or push people in the hallway? Would that be a bad message? Yeah. So maybe changing the name wouldn't change that much, but leaving that message, is that doing more harm than good? So if I was, I'm not saying I am, So if I was a racist person and I'm driving across that river, there's that bridge every day, and I see the name of Edmund Pettis every day, what message is that sending to me? That it's all right to be what? Racist. Okay? Because the state of what? The state of Alabama is celebrating this guy. Everybody knows he was the leader of the Ku Klux Klan who terrified African Americans. And if I think it's all, I see that message, do you think it might be all right for me to be racist?
Yeah.
What if I'm on the border, right? Maybe my parents are racist, and I don't think it's such a good idea, but I drive across, I think, what message is that sending to me? It's okay. Do you think then it's important to change it?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not.
When you said around the river trying to say like getting away, well like kids would try to like act out against the rules. So I think if you would like take away the rules, kids can act out because they can.
You have a point. Go ahead. Sophie. So maybe just not having a name of the person.
Yeah, that's just a good idea.
What if any other bread?
All right. So if you think it should be changed, what can you do about it to change it? You think what would be the appropriate things to do? So if someone has to say, Esther. Stop it. What's some other ways we can get it changed? But Emily. Good. Kim? Go on. Vision? So there are a lot of different ways people can try to get it changed. Do you think people have tried it out to do it before?